All right, well, hey everybody, welcome to a special Friday edition of Trending and also a special Zoom edition of Trending. So I am here in my lovely office here at church, and Joe is joining us from the lovely land of Denver, Colorado. Hello, Joe.
How's it going, Matt? Yes, we are in Denver for a hockey weekend, actually in the Cherry Creek area of Denver. So like I'm an hour behind you here, man. I've always been slow, so it's not a surprise that I'm an hour behind you. Marlon Branham, she said that she's from this area. So shout out to Marlon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, hopefully we treat the city right that you came from. But we're glad to be here. We got a game this afternoon. So we got some time to kill after we film Trending here. We might go to Red Rocks or something like that. So we'll see.
Nice. Very cool. That's a great area. So that's a good place to be to kill some time for sure.
Absolutely.
So we usually just do this thing on Thursday. Yesterday you were driving. Did you do the I-70 route?
We did, yeah. And it was kind of snowy, a little bit sketch all the way to
Yep.
McPherson, which non-Kansans I hear say McPherson. So if you're from Kansas if you say McPherson, right?
Right.
And then it got better, and then it was like the clearest, sunniest day once we got to 70 all the way to Colorado. It was crazy. Weather is so bizarre.
It is very strange. So I didn't want to do anything, risky while you were driving yesterday. So we're doing the Friday edition today. So thank you for those of you watching with us today. Glad to have you with us. We're going to hit just a few topics today, talk about the trending topics from our faith perspective, and we'll just see what we got here today. You ready, Joe?
Let's do it, man.
Okay. I've got mostly three topics. We might hit a couple other things really, really quickly here. This morning and yesterday, a lot of the trending topics were new movies or TV shows that are coming out. A lot of new things are dropping like right now. So we won't go into too much detail, but there's a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix that I guess people are excited about. I don't know. I won't watch it.
Yeah, me either.
There's a new one called Fistful of Vengeance. I don't know a whole lot about, but it's getting some kind of buzz, I guess. I don't know. Uncharted is the new Tom Holland movie. I think Mark Wahlberg is in it. Some people are excited about that. The one I am excited about is Stranger Things season 4. It's coming soon to Netflix. So
Yes.
lots of buzz about some new entertainment releases. That's kind of what is hogging the top spaces on both Google and Twitter this morning. So are you a Stranger Things fan?
Absolutely. And it sounds like they're going to have 5 seasons, which
Yep.
is good in my mind. So like it seemed like the first few seasons, it was like a season of the year. So I thought
Right.
maybe they only have like 4 seasons, but it sounds like they're going to shoehorn in. Maybe there's 5 seasons in the Upside Down. Who knows? Right.
There you go.
But isn't Ellie like this the coolest person? And then I just kind of feel like some of the small groups, life groups, pastor at Rich Point, I feel like everyone needs a small group like those kids, man. Like that
Absolutely.
that friends group is just bona fide. It's like the gold standard right there.
We should have a small group, life group event where we just ride our bikes around town, build a tent in our basement, and
Yes.
just tell stories over intercom or over walkie-talkies and listen to
Yes.
80s music. That's the real deal.
Play Dungeons and Dragons and adopt some strange reptile pet.
Yes.
I mean, we could go on and on here.
Christmas lights hanging everywhere. All right. Well, I just wanted to knock through those in case people are interested. You can obviously look up and see what those new releases are all about. But the three main topics I wanted to hit today. So I think it was yesterday was Dick Van Dyke's 96th birthday.
Man.
So Dick Van Dyke was trending yesterday. And again, he's kind of still around on the list this morning. So he and his wife, I don't remember her name, but she's also a singer. She's in a band. They released a video yesterday of them singing and dancing together. And at 96 years old, Dick Van Dyke can hold his own, man. He was still singing and tap dancing and kind of jiving around. For 96, he's looking really good. So kudos to Dick Van Dyke. And it's just cool to see him still doing really, really well.
Who's the most popular personality? I can't help feeling it's no one else but me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, 96 years old. I mean, anymore, I can't tell how old anybody is. So, it's kind of wait for them to tell you. And then whether you believe them or not, it's another thing altogether. But I think it's cool. I think it just goes to show like you can truly find a passion and live it all the way to the end. And I think that's awesome. My goal, I don't know what your goal is. Like, do you want to live to be 96? If I do, like if that's in the cards, there's a guy, I heard a story of a guy who is in his 90s playing rec hockey still.
Oh
And
wow.
he's got the sweetest stash. I'll give you a picture to throw on here.
Okay.
But he turned a certain age, and like all the boys that he plays with, like they just started covering his league costs, thinking that he'd only be around a couple more years. And it's like 10, 12 years, like he's still playing, like covering his league fees. But he actually has lived and played long enough where his son and his grandson are in the same league with him. I'm like, so that's kind of like one of my like goals. If I'm going to be old, I want to be able to lace them up and mix it up with the boys all the way into the 90s. I think that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I think my main goal, I love that. I hope I'm still active and doing whatever. My main goal when I'm old is I want to be jovial and kind to people. I don't want to be one of like those bitter old people who
Yeah.
complain about everything, always in a grumpy mood. I hope I'm, just a kind of a happy, weird old man. Like that's kind of that's my goal.
Yeah. Like I want to have like Desmond Tutu's like wicked laugh. And I want to be like the grandpa that always has candy to hand out, like
Yeah.
everyone like hits you up for the candy and stuff. I think that'd be
Yep.
good. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll still be doing training. We'll be 90 and there'll be some new technology, but we'll still sit in a room with a mic and talk about stuff that we don't know anything about
Right.
in 60 years. Why not?
And maybe it won't even be real. Like maybe will think that we're broadcasting out into the internet, but it's like we're just at a donut shop. And
Yeah.
until they acted like we're in front of
Our
screens.
grandkids are like, sure, grandpa, here's a mic. You're on the internet.
Oh, I can see it now, my friend. I can
Yes.
see it now. Wow.
All right. Number 2 today, a guy we've talked about before who likes to be in the spotlight. Kanye West is trending again. And for a couple of reasons, actually. So the main thing that is going on today is he's released that he's going to have this Donda 2 album coming out. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, sometime soon, but it's not going to be on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, any of the streaming services. You can only listen to it if you buy his physical media player. Like he's made this thing called the STEM player. Have you heard of this?
No.
So it's this little circle device, iPod-ish, but there's no screen. And it's supposed to be able to be this thing where there's kind of 4 bars where you can actually like scroll. And so you can actually kind of live mix the track you're listening to. So it'll show like this track's the vocals, this track's the drums, whatever. And while you're listening, you can kind of live mix the different beats or whatever. So it's kind of cool, but do you think people will buy a physical media player in 2022? What do you like? It's just a weird thing to think about.
I think that they will. So I think maybe he's at a good sweet spot. So he is obviously raising the stakes for getting any of his music, which people are going to buy because people love Kanye. But I think also you push that fourth wall out. Forever we bemoan celebrities, musicians who there's kind of like untouchables and they don't condescend to our level. But here's like a person saying, I'm going to give you the means to mess with my music. I mean, that's an interesting deal. And I would say it's akin to maybe incarnational move of Christianity, where probably for the first time in any religious ideology, God doesn't stay up in a pantheon and remove, but God condescends and takes on human form. And you can upset that God, you can deny that God, you can even crucify that God, and God still wants to be with his people. So I don't know how I can just Jesus juke Kanye West's new Donda 2 album, but I just did it, dude. It's really the Rocky Mountain thin air that allows this stuff to happen.
I mean, you don't surprise me anymore. I could drop you any pop culture thing and you will pull Jesus into it, which is awesome, which is what we're trying to do, I love it.
How much is this thing going to cost from Kanye?
So the device is $200. And my understanding
Okay.
is you can already get it. Like, I think it came out maybe last year sometime. I think his first Donda album was on there.
Okay.
Somehow you can actually import other tracks, which I don't know how that works. Like you can import your own music and somehow mess with the tracks on it. So it's a cool thing. I remember a couple years ago, I don't know if you heard this, Joe, but there's a little bit of a rush of people trying to track down iPod classics, like the kind of the brick ones where there's like 100 gig on it or whatever, the scroll wheel and the black and white screen. And for a couple years ago, there's kind of this rush of people trying to track those down again. And I wouldn't be totally surprised, like similar to how vinyl came back. I wouldn't be surprised if in our lifetime, like a MP3 player type device kind of comes back in vogue again. Because there was something too, like, this is my music, like this stuff is mine, and everything on it I like. And with everything that's Spotify and Apple and everything, like there's so much out there. I wonder if we'll have a similar return to a physical device at some point in our lifetime. I wouldn't be totally surprised about that. I'm not sure if it's the stem player or not, but it's an interesting thing, an interesting move on Kanye's part.
I think it's awesome. And I could say more about, one of my favorite, well, probably my only Picasso quote that I know, he says like nostalgia kind of works in two ways. Like you can honor your granddad by wearing his hat or becoming a grandpa. Right. And I think that there is always a move to nostalgia. So whether it's an iPod or like vinyl or stuff like that, that's one thing, like to like go back and retrieve the way that we used to listen to music, or like to go deeper, like music brings people together. It gives us a topic of conversation, allows bands to mix a track together and be proud of. I mean, there's probably no better room in my mind than a crowded room full of people when music is being played. Like there's just something quite sacred about it. And maybe this is a way where, like, I don't know. I don't think Kanye is doing this directly, but this could be the outworking of it, is that he's saying, let's get together, let's mix music again. And you need a device to do that. And let me help you figure that out. So I'll say this, dude, if you want to go halvesies on one of these things, we should. And then we should like remix a clean version of one of his songs and like sample it for our trending audience.
Okay. I'm up for that.
Let's do it, man. So give us a couple of weeks and we'll figure it out.
Okay. I like it. And while we're on Kanye, he also has a new documentary on Netflix. I'm not sure if you've seen that floating around yet. I think it's called Genius. It's spelled differently, like Kanye would, of course, do.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. It's going to be a 3-part, like a long documentary about his life. I watched most of the first one last night. And say what you will about Kanye, he is Kanye. Whether you like him or hate him, he is who he is. But there's some kind of cool, like really tender moments of him and his mom Donda in this documentary it kind of makes you see him in a new light. Like he really, like you can just tell he loved his mom.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of cool to see some of those interactions, even in his early days when he was just getting started. It was just kind of cool to see that part of him that he doesn't advertise very much, but to see a kind of tender, kind Kanye, it was kind of a cool thing to see. So
that's awesome, man. Very cool.
Yeah. All right, one more for you today here, Joe. You ready?
Let's do it. Throw it on me.
So Tom Hanks was trending yesterday.
Okay.
So he has a new movie about Elvis coming out somewhat kind of soon. I don't know a whole lot about the film.
Yeah.
One of the things that was trending along with that was there's a new article, I think it's in Vanity Fair, where his son Chet talked about what it was like to be Tom Hanks's son growing up.
Yeah.
And kind of the quote, the headline that's making the rounds this morning is that Chet says he didn't have a strong male role model in his life. And he talked about how Tom Hanks, some people kind of call Tom America's dad, right? He's kind of picked up that moniker. And Chet is saying that he was kind of so busy being America's dad, he wasn't always around at home.
Yeah.
He's talked about how his friends had kind of unrealistic expectations for him, and just what it was like to have a wealthy, high-profile dad. And so, it's always kind of heartbreaking when you hear those things. We talk about celebrities, everyone does. Sometimes we forget that they're real people with real families and the what that means for them. And so kind of sad to hear that. But I was just going to ask you, Joe, we've talked about before, we're not celebrities, we're not in movies, but it's kind of funny working at a church. If we wanted to, you and I could be here all day, every day. There's always something that we could do. And it's true, whatever your career is, right? If you're not intentional, if you're not careful, you're going to get pulled into a million different things. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm a dad, you're a dad. First, so what does the Tom Hanks thing make you think about? And how do you make sure that doesn't happen to your family?
Yeah, that's a good question. Cause like, didn't one of Tom Hanks' son, like he is an actor, right?
Yeah. So Chet is a musician, I think. I think he's been in a couple of movies too, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. I can imagine that there's like an unrealistic expectation for him. I'm sure like he just wanted a normal life, right? We can go back to the evergreen quote about celebrity where, celebrities spend their whole life trying to be noticed. And then once they are, they wear dark glasses so no one can notice them, right? Like it's just I think it's a weird power to flirt with because there's a shadow side to it all. So, anyways, I do worry, particularly for us as dads. when we have sons. I know they have two girls. I have Ezra, and he's kind of looking up to what is it like to be a man someday? What is that like? And if we do immerse ourselves in work, not only does that like create like this gap of relationship, but it also probably sets an unhealthy expectation upon what our children are supposed to do. So I remember my dad just retired, and I felt like my dad had a good career. And I remember in my 20s just wondering like, why is like my career or my work output, why is it not matching what my dad is doing in some regards? And I remember my dad, he actually sat me down and he said, man, I've only made the right decision with career moves and stuff like that probably half the time. He's like, sometimes you just don't know, like you trust your gut and you make a move, you make a decision, and then you learn from there, right? And so I remember it was like we were at Chili's, like sharing chips and salsa, and he's like laying all this on me. And I just remember how freeing that was, that my dad would share not just his positive things, but also maybe some ways that he hasn't measured up. And so I just think I'm carrying that with me. Is I want my kids to see the real me, right? And being in the church world, like my kids don't have to be a certain way in order, and worries that maybe my job will suffer because our kids get us to be kids, right? And so I just want to get the end of this and have a good relationship with my kids and family, and probably that group of friends. We can't have a huge group of friends, over life, but we do have some deep friendships with a few. I want by the end, like for all of us to kind of nod our heads and say, we played this the best that we could. And relationships are really important because I think the alternative is just so heartbreaking and you can't go back and fix it. Right. The toothpaste is already out of tube there. So I'm trying to make an effort now to invest the best that I can to try to be present, even though I might be wiped out at the end of a day. Like get into what they're doing. It used to be like get on the floor and play Legos. Now it's like to engage in topics of conversation and learn their new vocabulary and all that stuff. Yep. It's so much to keep up with. Yeah. But it's awful fun. I think we're having a good time so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're getting a peace sign away from one of them back there right now. I love it.
That's right. Yeah.
I just remember, so I think we maybe talked before. I'm a huge fan of the podcast Armchair Expert. I'm a Dak Shepard fan. Mm-hmm. One time, I'm going to probably butcher the details of this story, but Dak Shepard and Chet Hanks were together at an event, and they were like the celebrity judges, or I don't know. The two of them were together at some event. And this is kind of morbid, but it's funny. Dak said something like, if something were to happen to us, the headline would not be Dak Shepard and Chet Hanks were, tragically killed. It would be Tom Hanks's son and Kristen Bell's husband were, because they're celebrities in their own right, but they're known for the other people, right? Yeah. I just imagine that would be just a hard thing to overcome. So yeah, I feel for Chet, and it's just a reminder for all of us to be really intentional in our parenting. And yeah, that's an important reminder for all of us, I think.
Yeah. And I kind of get a little sour. There's this move within the church that says like, don't treat parenting like an idol, right? And they say, there's this idolatry in the church about, maybe like being too involved with your kids' life or making sacrifices so your kids can have a better life than you. How are they going to learn sacrifice? How are they going to learn hard work? And I feel like that's an overcorrection in the opposite direction, man. I don't feel like that's healthy. I just feel like folks who will embrace that and they carry it all the way to its conclusion, 20 years from now, they're gonna look back and go, that was a mistake. I should have. These years with kids go by so fast. And so I think it's best to embrace all of it that we can, knowing that we're not going to be the best. We're not gonna be 100% parents. Yep. We're going to give our best. And I just want my kids to say, you know what, Dad, like you did the best that you could. And that was more than enough for me. So, yeah.
Well, I'd say you're modeling that right now, live from Colorado on the way to a hockey tournament. I love it.
That's right.
Yeah, all right, man. Well, that's pretty much all I had today. There's a lot of Olympic stuff. Of course, there's always political stuff, but I just wanted to hit some of the kind of fun topics at the top of the list. So yeah, man. That's it for today. When are you heading back, Joe?
So we actually have a game Monday morning. They're leveraging President's Day holiday, so these youngsters can play a little more hockey. So I'll be back late Monday. Back in the office Tuesday for our meeting day, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Amen.
All right. Well, for those of you watching today, Friday the 18th, if you're a Ridgepoint person, or even if you're not, tomorrow's the big new Manda Day. So we'd love to have you join us. Not too late to sign up even. So check out our website if you would love to help us pack some meals for some hungry people in Nicaragua. It's going to be a great day. So if you're watching, we'd love to have you tomorrow. And see you Sunday. If you're around, we'd love to have you. And then I think we'll be back to our normal training schedule next week. Right, Joe?
Sounds good, man.
Next Thursday. So, all right. Well, thanks to all of you guys watching. Good luck to the Skilling clan in Colorado. Have a great time there. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Beep, 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 beep,